Bolts broad to the outside. In the gate. And they're off. No, 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 never. And Den of Iniquity. Irish Rose joins them and is up to take the lead as they pass the stands. Then it's Bolts Broad. Kelly's Out is at the back, some 7 lengths off front running Irish Rose, who establishes the pace and leads it by 2. Bolts Broad is in second. Den of Iniquity is down at the rail in third. No, 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 never is fourth, 5 lengths off the lead. And Kelly's Out at the back of the field. Irish Rose could not have gotten an easier lead. Speed's clear to be in front by 3.5 lengths. Bolts Broad takes second. Den of Iniquity is down at the rail. Then it's No, 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 Never, fourth and 5 off them, 2 clear of Kelly's Out. Straightening away for the run down the backstretch. Irish Rose relaxed on the front end. Fresu just took a peek back and leads by 1.5 lengths. Bolts Broad, Den of Iniquity third. No, 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 never, fourth. 5 lengths off the lead, and Kelly's Out has trailed throughout. Irish Rose takes them into the far turn with a 2-length edge. Bolts Broad, Den of Iniquity called on down at the rail. Those two on even terms, second and third. No, 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 never has 6 to make up, and Kelly's Out continues to trail. They're 1/4 mile from home, and it's Irish Rose 1.5 lengths. Bolts Broad set down. Den of Iniquity, No, 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 Never starts to pick it up a bit. They're coming to the 8th pole, and Irish Rose trying to fend them off. No, 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 Never becoming the late threat on the outside, and Bolts Broad in between them. Here's No, 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 Never coming swiftly now in the final stages between horses. Bolts Broad, No, 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 Never gets it by a 1/2 length. Bolts Broad second. Kelly's Out rallied strongly to be in a photo, and Irish Rose followed by Den of Iniquity. In the gate. And they're off. Airbus and Crowning Gold both out alertly. Ferociously and Magnificent Ride up and on the pace. And here's the favorite, Soul of Midnight, coming through down at the rail to be just a neck off the lead. Tangled Up in Gray is just behind this group. Airbus, who broke well, is now 6 lengths off the leaders. Then Trusty Rusty racing on the inside of Squalatoro and a gap of 5 to Flint Stroll. Soul of Midnight takes command at the 1/2 mile pole. Leads at 1.5 lengths to Ferociously. Crowning Gold, Tangled Up in Gray is in fourth. 3 lengths back to Magnificent Ride. Trusty Rusty moves by him. Airbus in between them. Then it's Squalatoro, and Flint Stroll continues at the back. 3 of them vying for the lead. Soul of Midnight at the rail, Ferociously in between them. And outside comes Crowning Gold. Crowning Gold puts his nose in front. Trusty Rusty is in just behind them in fourth. They're followed by Magnificent Ride, racing on the outside of Airbus, and Tangled Up in Gray. Trusty Rusty finds room, pounces and opens up, coming to the 8th pole. Airbus is starting to finish with a little bit of energy. Outside of them, Crowning Gold, middle of the racetrack, Magnificent Ride. It's Trusty Rusty with a 3-length lead under Kyle Frey. And Trusty Rusty is far too strong. Wins it by about 4. Crowning Gold second, Airbus third in front of Magnificent Ride. Photo between Soul of Midnight and Squalatoro. And they're off. Handsome Ticket is out alertly. Sanger is flashing speed. Manchild is in between those two in the opening furlong. They're joined at the rail by Belmont Bill, who's now taking the 3rd spot, just 1.5 lengths off the lead. It's a gap of 5 to Pioneer Prince, racing on the inside of Eddie's Last. Vorpal is next, 5 clear of My Ransom, and Dr. Soulfire trails. Manchild takes him to the 1/2 mile pole, leading by 1 length to Belmont Bill in second. Then it's Handsome Ticket outside of them, third, 2 lengths off the lead. Another 4 back to Sanger, who's followed by Pioneer Prince inside Eddie's Last. Vorpal the Gray has 8 or 9 to make up, a gap of 5 to My Ransom, and Dr. Soulfire. Manchild continues to dictate terms, leads 3/4 of a length. Handsome Ticket starting to put the pressure on now as they come to the quarter pole. And just like that, Handsome Ticket is the new leader at the top of the stretch. Sanger and Belmont Bill are right together. Eddie's Last in the center of the course. There's an eighth of a mile to go. And Eddie's Last coming after Handsome Ticket, who has built up a 2-length lead. Handsome Ticket, the lead diminishing. Eddie's Last pounces at the 16th pole and goes right on by. Eddie's Last is too strong, opening up to win it by 2.5. Second went to Handsome Ticket. Belmont Bill third. Photo among Pioneer Prince, Dr. Soulfire, and Sanger. Are the most slots in the West, more than 7,200. Hundreds of table games, 30 restaurants and bars, and the stunning Yamava Theater, where the world's top artists perform, including Stevie Nicks, Tim Allen, Gloria Trevi, Ringo Starr, and many others. Each week, Yamava Resort. They're in the gate. And they're off. De Medici is out alertly. Feel the Magic. Vegas Burner now moves up in between rivals as they get to the main track. On the far outside, Chasing Rain explosively is one from the outside. Now Feel the Magic is 5 lengths off the battle up top. It's another 2 to the 2 trailers, Devil in the Bluegrass and Pelagio. They have a half mile left to travel, or they will soon. It is De Medici on the inside and Vegas Burner. 2 lengths back to Chasing Rain and Explosively, and down at the rail, Feel the Magic. A gap of 5. Back to Devil in the Bluegrass, 2 more to Pelagio. Heading toward the 3/8 pole, De Medici and Vegas Burner, necks apart. Then it's Feel the Magic at the rail in third. Explosively losing some ground, 4 lengths off the lead. Here's Pelagio starting to pick it up with a good rally. And Pelagio within 6 of the pacemakers, but gobbling up some real estate. Devil in the Bluegrass and Chasing Rain. They have a 1/4 of a mile to go, and Feel the Magic let loose on the outside of De Medici at the rail. Vegas Burner in between, and then Pelagio 5 back. They're in the final 1/8 of a mile. De Medici hanging tough. Feel the Magic trying to get by. It's De Medici 2-length lead past the 16th pole, and De Medici strong. De Medici will win convincingly. Second to Feel the Magic, Vegas Burner, Pelagio, and Explosively. Up next, the 5th, start of the late pick 5 and the $3 all-turf pick 3. They'll be at the gate in 25 minutes. Stopping a tray with the orange cap. They're all in line. And they're off. Bit of a bobble for Stopping a Tray, but showing sharp speed nonetheless. Here's Seismic Spirit sprinting up to take the lead. And Johnny Drama has fleet foot too. And Johnny Drama is the new leader over Seismic Spirit with Stopping a Tray in third. Then it's Silver Surfer. Into It is racing in between horses. Pollack outside of that pair, 7 lengths off the lead. Then it's Zabul, followed by Kimmer. Barsabas in that group too as they move into the far turn. And the lead is Johnny Dramas into the far turn. 2.5 length advantage on Seismic Spirit. Second, Silver Surfer comes through on the inside of Stopping a Tray. Into It is next, followed by Pollack with 8 to make up. At the rail comes Kimmer. Outside of Kimmer, it's Zabul and Barsabas. A 1/4 of a mile to go, and here's Seismic Spirit with a big bid on the outside of Johnny Drama. And Seismic Spirit takes the lead. Johnny Drama at the rail back to second. Silver Surfer is in third, followed by Into It in fourth. They're inside the 8th pole, and Seismic Spirit has opened up 3. Silver Surfer rallying to try and get second, but a no doubt about it victory for Seismic Spirit, who scores by 3 lengths. Silver Surfer second, followed by Johnny Drama third. Then it was Into It fourth, photo 5th between Pollack and Kimmer. Centrifugal force to the outside. In the gate. And they're off. Spot Doro is out alertly. Gustoso is a little bit quicker as several of them line up to vie for the lead, including Eligio, who's just in front. Sky Cloud comes through on the inside, and Mongolian Frost on the pace a half length back in third. They're followed by Uplift in fourth, just in front of Spot Doro, now fifth, but only 3 lengths off the lead. Takamakahara is in behind horses, going toward the rail now. Scorpion Shot is next. Gustoso, who broke well, is now toward the back of the field. Passed on the outside by T1D Flower Free, who's 5 lengths off the lead as they move around the far turn. Centrifugal Force is widest of all, and it's another 3 back to Scorpion Shot, who now trails with a quarter of a mile to run. And it's Sky Cloud on the inside, dueling with Eligio. Those two arrive at the top of the stretch with Sky Cloud trying to shake loose and opens up a length. Eligio trying hard to stick with him in second. Takamakahara is on the rail in third. They're followed by Uplift and Gustoso. Sky Cloud turns it on late, and it's going to be Sky Cloud and Adrian Escobedo to win it by 4. Eligio was second. Takamakahara finished third. T1D Flower Free, and then Gustoso. And Friday and Time to Party. And they're off. Bobble at the start for Flavius, but he did recover immediately and is right up and on the pace with Gregorian Chant and Low Expectations. Here's Mastermind sprinting up, and so Mastermind will set the pace. Low Expectations now a half back second. 3 more, Time to Party, racing on the outside of Flavius. Gregorian Chant donning some new silks today, 4 lengths off the lead. Another 2 back to Percolate in the red colors down at the rail, and then comes Camaraderie racing 2 lengths in front of the 2 trailers Man Friday, and Moody Jim is at the back of the field. Around the clubhouse turn, and Mastermind shakes loose. Has it by 4 lengths now over Low Expectations in second. Down at the rail, Gregorian Chant is a joint third, and Time to Party just outside of him. Flavius between those two. On the outside comes Camaraderie and Percolate down on the inside with a half mile left to travel. 3 in front of Man Friday and Moody Jim. It's Mastermind into the far turn. 3-length advantage on Low Expectations in second. Time to Party, Gregorian Chant at the rail. Then comes Flavius fifth, but only 4 off the lead as they take much closer order. Percolate and Camaraderie are still right together. Man Friday inching up now in between those two and passing them both. And Moody Jim has trailed throughout. They're at the top of the stretch. Low Expectations. Time to Party on the outside. Gregorian Chant. Flavius has a clear shot. Moody Jim has surfaced late, but has a lot of work to do. Man Friday, 16th pole. Flavius trying to go by Low Expectations, and Flavius powers past late. It will be Flavius and Juan Hernandez to win a length and a half. Low Expectations second. Good rally from Moody Jim for the show dough. Man Friday and Time to Party. Okay. And they're off. An atomic drop rockets out of there and takes command at once. Don't fight the Fed. Nauvoo just off the pace. And Andy, can you hear me? But now 4 of them line up right across the racetrack going into the first turn. Spiritual Advisor is 5th along the inside, 2 lengths clear of Brazenly. That pair is followed at the rail by Speed Grazy, who has lost a couple of spots. Buck Owens just went by him, and California Bay at the back of the field. Onto the backstretch, and it's Andy, Can You Hear Me? And Nauvoo, 1-2, with Atomic Drop now a length and a half off them in third. Don't Fight the Fed at the rail in fourth. They're followed by Spiritual Advisor, racing in mid-pack, 3/4 to Speed Grazy. Buck Owens outside of them. California Bay is 4 deep, and Brazenly 8 lengths covers them with a half-mile to travel. Andy, can you hear me? And Edwin Maldonado, a half length in front. Nauvoo is tracking him in second as they move into the far turn. And now, Andy, can you hear me? Lets it out a notch, 3 furlongs from home. Atomic Drop takes second. Nauvoo is under serious pressure, losing ground. Buck Owens, California Bay, widest of all. At the rails, Speed Grazy in between horses. Don't Fight the Fed. It's wide open. Don't Fight the Fed angles out with a nice move now and a 1/4 mile to run. Some trouble just behind the pacemaker. Andy, can you hear me? As Speed Grazy almost hit the rail. In the meantime, the new leader is Don't Fight the Fed with a furlong left to go. In the center of the racetrack, Brazenly has surfaced, but Don't Fight the Fed has opened up and is long gone. Don't Fight the Fed airs him out. Brazenly second, California Bay third in front of Spiritual Advisor and Buck Owens. You're in the gate. And they're off. Ange and Ash bounces out of there. Tiama has speed too. And just behind them, Matina. And Matina is now quicker than both, sprinting up to take the lead. So it will be Matina to set the pace over Ange and Ash second. Then it's Respect the Crown, and Moe's Vino Mesa is racing fourth, but only 3 lengths off the lead. It's a gap of 4 back to Catonia past the half-mile pole. Catonia is a length in front of Tianma, who broke well, but now settles toward the back of the field. Lady Cruiser is getting a little bit of nudge along the inside of Discrepancy, and behind them, Starlit Harbor trails. It's Matina and Ricky Gonzalez rounding the far turn, 3/4 of a length. Anjan Ash puts the pressure on in second. Then comes Moe's Vino Mesa and Respect the Crown, looking for room, finding it between rivals. Down at the rail, Discrepancy is starting to rally, finding a seam, and has to chase Ange and Ash. It's Ange and Ash who has opened up a 4-length lead. Discrepancy moves into second late, followed by Respect the Crown. Ange and Ash, a decisive victory, wins by 2.5 or 3. Second went to Discrepancy. Then it's a photo for third between Respect the Crown and Catonia. Moe's Vino Mesa completes the super high 5. And we have a pick 6 carryover at the Great Race Place for Santa Anita Derby Day.
Hi, everybody, and happy Derby Day, San Anita style. That's correct. Saturday is San Anita Derby Day. We're delighted that you decided to join us. We've got 12 races on deck today, 5 of them stakes races, and of course, highlighted by the Grade 1 $750,000 per San Anita Derby, which will go as race number 10. A lot of action, and there's even more action if you weren't paying attention to the races yesterday. We've got a super high five carryover in race number 1 of $19,000. Nobody hit it on last night's last race, and also a regular old-fashioned pick 6 carryover. $48,000 in the kitty, $1 minimum. That'll start in race number 7, races 7 through 12. A lot of action, as I mentioned. I can't do it by myself, so I brought in one of the sharpies, most sharpest handicappers I know. His name's Steve Pollack. Steve, happy San Anita Derby Day. Welcome to the seminar.
Man, I couldn't have picked a better day, huh? I mean, it's so beautiful here today, folks. I hope you come out because it is absolutely gorgeous. The sky couldn't be any bluer. And the racing is fantastic today. I'm excited to go.
Blue skies, palm trees, great racing, plenty of turf action, which is kind of your specialty. It's going to be a very, very special day, isn't it?
Whew, you got everything you could ask for in today's card, for sure. Excited. You know, the Santa Anita Derby, I think is a great race. I think it's a great betting race. It's not a huge field, but I think there's potential in that race. Obviously, that's the highlight of the day. But good card up and down.
Imagination, trained by Bob Baffert, is the morning line favorite in the San Anita Derby. I think he's vulnerable. You'll find out who I like a little bit later. We'll find out who Steve likes. Before we take a look at today's 12-race card, Steve, a question for you. Give us a little bit about your background. You appear every week on Saturday on the Racing Jason radio show. You also do some work for Trip No Pros. You and I have known each other probably for 3 decades. You eat, sleep, and breathe racing basically 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
My wife says it's a hobby. You know, I say, how can you spend 50 hours a week on a hobby? It's definitely not my hobby. This is my passion and my life. I love doing the Racing Jason show. Jason Levine has been so good to me. And we do a show every Saturday, and we're on 8 to 9 every Saturday. I'm on for about half the show. And again, listen to the whole show because Jason does a great job. A guy named Jay Friedlander does what I do, and he's really, really good guy and a good handicapper. So we make a good team. We have a lot of fun, and we talk about the races, and we really try to help the fans, which is what I'm going to try to do today. Help the fans.
Well, let's talk about the races. Kicking things off in race number 1. And as I mentioned, race number 1 not only starts the popular 50-cent early pick 5, but we've also got a $19,000 super high 5 carryover. And take a look at this field. A full field of 12. The 2 scratches are the 2 also eligibles, 13 and 14. And we're traveling 6 furlongs in the turf course for maiden special weight Calbred 3-year-old fillies. The turf rails today are at 0 feet. The morning line favorite in the current betting choice at 2 to 1 is number 8. Stop Digging from the Simon Callahan barn. This is one of many very, very playable and good betting races on today's card, Steve.
This is really a good betting race. This is a race that I would bet straight. I think it's hard to make sure you hit this one if you're playing the pick 5. I thought the pick 5 was difficult today. I was really more excited about the pick 6. So I'm probably going to lay off of betting this race in the early pick 5, which is a bet I really like. I don't like the second race. And this race is a hard race, but I will definitely play something in here if I can get a price.
Well, who do you like? And tell us who you like and why.
Okay. I like the 3 on top is a horse named Haley Amber.
First time turf, first time Lasix.
First time turf, and that's really the key for me. I use Thorograph information for this. I think it's the best available. They give the dam side information, and the dam of this one, Baby Zito, has thrown a runner that ran 8s on the Thorograph sheet. The lower the number, the better. An 8 will tower over this field. Now, this horse didn't run anywhere near that in her first 2 starts, but she certainly, with that pedigree, especially on the bottom side, has the eligibility to run a good race on the grass. But also, I really like any of those 2-year-olds that ran well from the inside at Del Mar. Says rail bid, that's exactly where she was. I think that's a tough spot to be. So I think Haley Amber has a good shot. I like the barn here too, Tom. Cesar de Alba, kind of sneaky. Look at his turf numbers in here, and very, very good on turf. It's kind of surprising. And I know he had a big horse last year. The name escapes me right now.
Another turf sprinter.
Right. Another turf sprinter that won a few races. I think this one has a chance to be a good one. My second horse in here is the 8 Stop Digging. And a very similar situation. This horse ran a great second from the rail at Del Mar as a 2-year-old. Kind of a grow-up situation, and the pedigree on this one even a little better than my top selection. This one's a half to Eleuthera. Half meaning same mother, not the same father, but Eleuthera is a horse that ran 8s on the Thorograph sheet. has run very well in these parts a few times. I'm sure this is a horse that most of you know. And King Eddie, also another winner on the turf. So this one has a little better pedigree. The barn, where's this barn been? I don't know. Simon Callahan, very reliable barn. I know this horse is training good. And I think this one will come out first time as a 3-year-old and run well. But this is a very, very wide open race. And not a bad race to use 4 or 5 or even the all ball in here. Could be a big price.
And Steve, what I like about your 2 selections is that both of the runners that you chose, first and second, had experience as 2-year-olds. So you'd expect them to both mature mentally and physically. They have that racing experience, which might be an edge on some of these first-time starters. And you indicated they ran numbers as a 2-year-old. If they do improve both physically and mentally and mature a little bit, it's likely they're going to improve off of those numbers.
That's a very big key. 2 to 3 layoff, 3 to 4 layoff. I'm going to talk about a little bit more later on a couple horses. But when you see these horses coming off layoffs, I'm not as afraid to bet these layoff horses, especially if you get a price, especially if you got a good trainer. And I think this gentleman training over at Los Alamitos a little bit more under the radar, but winning races. And this horse is drawn toward the inside, which with the rail at 0 is a better spot to be. Tom, not going wide today is going to be key. I also think closers are going to do a little better on this card. I saw yesterday the deep closers really had a shot, and the speed horses were really struggling. So sometimes we get rain on this turf course, and it's like a billy bog, and you can't make up ground. Sometimes you get rain on this course, and the closers come. And with the rail going to 0, I think it's going to be closers today, so I like those 2.
3 and 8 in race number 1. So says our summer guest, Steve Pollack, and he mentioned Stop Digging is a half to Eleuthera. Eleuthera earned $182,000 on turf in her career. I believe her trainer was perhaps Ben Cecil, if I'm not mistaken. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to have Frank Miramani join the seminar. He's going to give us the early scratches on today's 12-race card. We're just getting warmed up. 1 race down, 11 races to go as Steve and I continue through the rest of the card. But before we do any of that, let's get the scratches from Frank Miramati, track announcer here at the Great Race Place.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Santa Anita Derby Day, and welcome to the Great Race Place, Santa Anita Park. The track is fast, the turf course is firm, and the rail on the turf is at 0 feet. Here are the changes on the Santa Anita Derby card. The first race is the start of the early pick 5. We have a super high 5 carryover from yesterday of more than $19,404. Scratch the also eligibles, 13 and 14. There are no scratches or jockey changes in race number 2. This is the start of the early pick 4. No changes in the third. The third race is the start of the coast-to-coast pick 5. We'll have more on that at the conclusion of the changes. The fourth race, the Evening Jewel Stakes, presented by the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance, has no changes. In the fifth, scratch number 8, Runaway Kitten. Race 5, take out the 8. The sixth race begins the middle pick 4. It's the Grade 2 Santa Anita Oaks. The middle pick 4 is offered on races 6, 7, 8, and 9. No changes in the Santa Anita Oaks. In the seventh race, started the $3 all-turf pick 3, as well as the $1 pick 6. No changes. The pick 6 has a carryover. No one hit it yesterday. $48,181 in the pick 6 carryover. The all-turf pick 3 today is on races 7, 9, and 11. In the eighth, we have the program scratch of number 4, Jamming Yeti, and the start of the late pick 5. The ninth is the Grade 3 Monrovia Stakes, kicking off the late pick 4. Scratch number 2, Ice Dancing. The 10th one is the highlight, the Grade 1 Santa Anita Derby. There are no changes. In the 11th, we kick off the Golden Hour Pick 4, combining races from Santa Anita Park and Golden Gate Fields. Scratch number 2, Kerry Gold. Note that number 9, One of These Days, will now be ridden by Armando Ayuso. Armando Ayuso rides number 9 in race 11. 13, Fleet Feet, draws in and will run. And scratch number 14, Blue Dog. And the 12th and final is the Echo Eddie Stakes, scratch 7, Lord Prancelot, and scratch number 9, Uncle Chili. Enjoy Santa Anita Derby Day with post time for the first in 57 minutes at 12 noon. The Coast to Coast Pick 5 is offered every Saturday and Sunday. Today it starts right here with race number 3. Combining races from Santa Anita Park and Gulfstream Park, a low 15% takeout, a $1 minimum. This wager offered every Saturday and Sunday. And keep in mind, tomorrow, there will be $100,000 seeded to the pool, essentially a free $100,000 in that pool before any wagering begins, as a thanks to those supporting the Coast to Coast Pick 5 wager, which has produced some outstanding payoffs from its inception. Let's go back to Quigley's Corner and resume the seminar. Tom Quigley's special guest today is Steve Pollack.
Welcome back. We're talking horses with Steve Pollack. He's been handicapping the horses, let's just say, in excess of 3 decades. It's a pleasure to have him on today as our special seminar guest on Santa Anita Derby Day. We've already gone through race 1, where Steve's given out his selections for race number 1, which are 3 and 8. 3 and 8 race number 1. So, Steve, let's turn the page. Take a look at race number 2, which begins the popular 50-cent early pick 4. We're sprinting 6 furlongs in the main track for maiden special weight 3-year-olds, a field of 7. Bob Baffert has 3 runners in here, but he doesn't train the morning line favorite. That responsibility falls on Mark Glatt, who trains 2, including the morning line favorite, number 4, Ball Don't Lie, a second-time starter, 5-2 according to John White. How'd you see race 2?
This is a tough race for me. I love to use Andy Harrington's information. I think he's a fabulous clocker.
NationalTurf.com.
NationalTurf.com. I you know what? I did get his works last night, and I'll tell you what, Andy did not give me any help here, because I think there's a lot of horses in here that seem to be training pretty good. So I tell you what, I'm going to go with Ball Don't Lie on top, because I thought he ran the best race. I'm going to go with Tour Player second. And, Bob Baffert's got 3 in here. It's so hard to play a race in a maiden race when he's got 2. Now he's got 3 in here. So this is definitely not a race I'm planning on betting today. 4 and 5 for me in a race that I'm going to sit out.
You'll see that a number of the runners in race number 2 exit a race back on March 9th that Vlahos won. Vlahos earned a 98 Beyer speed figure in his career debut in that race, so certainly finishing behind him is not a disgrace. Likely many of those runners who ran in that race are going to improve second time out. Race number 3 is a race for fillies and mares, spreading 6 furlongs in the turf course. It's an allowance optional claiming race, non-winners of 1 other than. We've got a field of 10, and the morning line favorite, number 3, Big Summer, 5-2 from the Carla Gaines barn. Talk to us about race 3, Steve.
Yeah, I think that horse is a little bit vulnerable coming off of that kind of a layoff. So I'm going to try to beat Big Summer today. If you're going deep into trifecta or something like that, I might, that might be a horse that I would add. But I see a lot of speed in this race. Speed does very well in the 6 furlong distance. Again, yesterday, I thought you could really close. And when we have a little moisture on the turf course, you can see some horses doing some closing in here. So I've got a long shot in here that I like. It's the number 5 horse, Haley Levade. And what I like about Haley Levade is, first of all, this horse is not a hill horse. This horse wants the flat. So I think that disguises this horse's form. And if you go back to the previous start, this horse is just not going to be able to run with Stay and Scam, who's just, this horse is, that's more of a stake horse. And I think 5 furlongs is too short for that one. And the last time this horse went 6 furlongs, which is 3 races back, this horse drew the rail. Victor on the rail is just not where he's very comfortable. And I'll tell you what, because what he wants to do when he's on the rail is take back and circle the wagons. I promise you he'll do that almost every time when he's on the inside. So I like the fact that Haley Levade is in the middle. Look who's training this horse. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to come up with 4 or 5 of these trainers today. The old-time trainers, like a Gary Studi, these guys are winning races now. Guess what? Some of the stuff we're doing in racing is working, cleaning things up with the testing, and you're seeing the resurgence of guys like Mike Pipey. Where did he go? And guys like Gary Studi. Mandela is even better. And how about Ron Ellis coming back? His horses are running huge at big prices. So, and again, there's a couple others coming up later, but I really like the way Gary's going. I think Victor will ride this horse perfectly. So I like Haley Levade on top. I do think the horse to beat is Rugaluch. Again, this is Ron Ellis, and I thought that horse went very wide last time. I'm not sure whether Juan is going to try to clear or whether he's going to take back. If he stays outside, I think Haley Levade has a good shot to catch her on the wire. Those are my 2 in here. I like Haley Levade on top of Rugaluch.
Steve's top pick in race number 3, Haley Levade, who he's been talking about. Take note of the morning line, a big 15-1, likely to go a little bit lower after we disclosed that particular horse, or I should say 5-year-old mare on the seminar today. Race number 4 is the first of 5 stakes races on today's card, and we're spreading 6.5 furlongs in the main track. It's the Evening Jewel Stakes, $125,000 guaranteed purse presented by the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance. It's for Calbred 3-year-old fillies. We've got a field of 6. Number 2, Miranda, who was successful on debut and not so much second time out, is the 8-5 morning line favorite, resides in the Gary Mandela barn. Mike Smith and the Irons talk to us about race 4, Steve.
This is the only other race, the second one obviously as well. This is the only other race I felt was a very difficult race. I think you could go all in here. I'm going to go with Grease Missile, and the reason I'm going with Grease Missile, this horse is a 4-time winner in 6 starts. The race 2 back at Turf Paradise, what I liked about it is, it seems like there's several speedsters in here, but this horse was able to sit a little bit in that race. Maybe that strategy will work in here, and this horse will get a perfect trip. I think Giovanni Franco is under the radar right now. He's really riding well, especially on turf. This is not a turf race. Grease Missile over Roberta's Love in a race that I could see Safa winning. I could certainly see the favorite Miranda winning. It's an all ball for me, but I'm going to go 4-3 in here in another race that I would lay low on.
6-horse field, 3 of them sired by Clubhouse Ride, one of the most prolific sires that stands here in the state of California. Race number 5 is a full field of 10 going 1 mile on the turf course. It's a maiden special weight race for 3-year-old fillies. Scratch number 8, Runaway Kitten. That's why it's a field of 10. The morning line favorite, number 6, Lottery from the Phil D'Amato barn, who's 5-2 on the morning line. Before we get your thoughts on the race, Steve, I want to show a replay for number 1, Certitude. This was back on March 4th, sprinting 6.5 furlongs on the flat turf course. Certitude is going to be wearing the Ronus Racing Silks and is going to be wearing saddlecloth number 5. I want you to watch Certitude, not only during the running of the race, because primarily she's very uncomfortable, but also what's most impressive and eye-catching is the gallop out past the wire. Again, keep in mind this was a sprint race on the turf. Today they're going 2 turns. So let's listen to Frank Miramati describe the action back on March 4th and watch Certitude break from post position number 4, wearing saddlecloth number 5.
One behind the gate, Miss McWhinney, as we get set to kick off the all-turf pick 3. And they're off. It's a fast start for Avois. Tianma is up close in the early stages. At the rail, Toulouse de Trac is coming into contention, and Miss McWhinney is on the far outside. Ange and Ash, between rivals, moves up to claim second. Just behind them, Tianma, who was up close, is now 4 off the lead. Certitude is next, followed by Discrepancy, and it is a long way back to Smooth as Butter. Past the half-mile pole, and it's Avois shaking loose. 3-length lead on Toulouse de Trac. and Janash between, and Miss McWhinney outside of them. Then Certitude in the green, 5 lengths off the lead, starting to make a little bit of progress. Discrepancy is next. Tiama has lost some ground, still a distance to Smooth as Butter. It's Juan Hernandez just cruising past the quarter pole. No dangers yet. 4-length edge turning for home. To lose the truck. Engine Ash moves up to take second. Clear sailing for Certitude, who starts to pick up some momentum, but it's Avois clear by 6 lengths past the 16th pole, and Avois' consistency gets rewarded today with an easy W.
Steve, you and I watch a lot of replays. Now watch on the gallop out here with the jockey up in the irons, the distance that Certitude basically takes over with, galloping into the clubhouse turn now. You can't tell me that she's not going to love 2 turns based off that gallop out. There's going to have to be a very, very special filly in this race in order to beat her. I like her off that replay. I have a feeling you do too.
That was my horse of the day, Tom.
How could it not be?
I like it for a couple reasons. One is I love the pedigree information I get from Thoroughgraph. The dam of Certitude, that means the mom, through 1 offspring that ran 4s going long. That's a ridiculous number. That means the pedigree says this horse wants to go long. This horse was ranked last time, first time with Barrios. I think Barrios is the best turf rider here with Flavian gone. To me, he moves up to number 1. Rispoli is extremely good and stronger in the stretch. But Barrios kind of reminds me of Kent when he was in his prime. Just knows his way around the track, maneuvering his way around the track. If you saw the race that he closed on Thursday, it was nuts. I mean, he has no fear. He can go up the inside. He'll stay inside. And I think second time with him on there, he'll get this horse to relax. And that's the key today. She could be closer to the lead today because they're stretching out, and I think she runs big. Certitude at this price, very, very good bet to me. Anywhere near that morning line, I would take 7 on her and be very happy. Tahini ran very well last 2 back. Last time was 1 mile and an 1/8. She didn't break very good. I think she's got a shot to go to the front end and run good. I like Kimura on the front end, by the way. I'm not thrilled with him on much else, but I think he's good at that, and I think he might be a little bit overrated, to be honest with you. I don't like the way he's been riding that well this meet, but I think those are the 2 horses in here. I like Certitude on top and Tahini second, one of the better plays of the day. If you're playing pick 5 through here, Lottery's the horse to beat, was very good down at Del Mar. Looks like the 3rd horse in here, but to me, the bet in here is on Certitude. You know, again, anything 7, 8 to 1, I think is a good bet.
During the watching and the listening of the replay that we watched just now for Certitude, you might have heard Frank Miramati mention a runner by the name of Aang and Ash. If you were paying attention yesterday, that horse also won very impressively in the nightcap last night. Race number 9 for trainer George Papapadromo. I do believe that the race that Avois won, that Certitude exits, was a very live race, and certainly Certitude is overvalued at 12 to 1 on the morning line. One of the better plays on today's card. Race number 6 on a 12-race card begins the 50-cent middle pick 4, and it's also the second stakes race on the card. It's the Grade 2 Santa Anita Oaks for 1 mile and a 16th on the main track for 3-year-old fillies. Field of 5, Bob Baffert trains the 4 to 5 morning line favorite. Number 2, Kinza, who's basically done nothing wrong in her career. Not much of a betting race, but we still want to know who you like and why.
You know, I think it's those 2. I think it's Kinza and Copian. Again, I mentioned that I got Andy's works last night, and A- work for this horse probably gives out about 3 of those a month.
Correct.
So I would say that Copian is doing really well. It's Richard Mandela. What I thought was interesting on the sheets, they gave this horse the same number with the width that she ran against Kinza last time. That being said, I think Kinza's going to get the early lead, and I think that gives her the advantage in here. And Hernandez is so tough to go by. It's Baffert. Baffert's only won this race twice, surprising. Kinza and Copian, chalky looking race, 2-3 for me in the 6th.
Race number 7 begins the $1 pick 6. As previously mentioned, we've got a carryover, old-fashioned regular carryover, $48,000 in the $1 pick 6 pool. Expectations are the total pool will reach $500,000 or so. Also, race number 7 begins the $3 all-turf pick 3, and race number 7 begins, of course, on the turf course. 1 mile is the distance for fillies and mares. Allowance optional claiming types, non-winners of 1 other than. Take a look at this field, a field of 12, and the lukewarm morning line favorite at 9 to 2 is number 4 Summer Lake. Once again from the Carla Gaines barn. 9 to 2 morning line favorite tells me that it's my type of betting race.
This is a very good betting race, and I think we can win this race, Tom. I got 2 horses I really like. They both happen to be the same price, so perfect for your seminar here because I'm going to give you both horses here. My top horse is Miss Astor. She's the 5 horse. Mike Smith riding here for Jonathan Thomas. His horses have run really well here. And I want you to look at something, folks, if you can put this into your memory bank. This is a first-time 4-year-old that ran right around September with about a 5 or 6 month layoff. This is a really, really great angle for those of you who are Ragas and Sheep players, Thoroughgraph players. These horses, they develop. Okay, this horse had run a good enough races. In fact, the race at Del Mar was a good effort. Look who she was second to, Ruby Nell. We know Ruby Nell is an absolute beast. I think she's one of the better fillies in the country on the West Coast, which you don't see. Unfortunately, when she went back east, she didn't get out of the gate very good, and she didn't get to prove that. But I do think she's going to prove it maybe later on down the road, maybe down at Del Mar this summer. Miss Astor has got a really good shot here to fire fresh. Good work pattern. And again, first-time 4-year-old has a very, very good shot to move forward. And I think there's enough pace for her to make a late run. She's my top horse. Also, really like Henny's Crazy Train in here. My solid second horse. Look who's riding here. This is Hector Barrios again. And he's going to get the rail right behind the speed and get first run, which is always a good spot to be. I like the fact that she ran 2 good races. Maybe they figured her out now, even at 6, that this is what she wants to do, run on the turf. And I think she can sit. I think she sits the perfect trip again with this guy riding. She's my second horse because I think Miss Astor might be a little better horse. But 5 and 3 for me, both solid horses. In race 7, Tom.
And both are 6-1 on the morning line. Great betting races. Race number 7. Race number 8 begins the 50-cent late pick 5. Back sprinting on the main track. 6 furlongs the distance for Calbred. Allowance optional claiming types. Non-winners of 1 other than. Program scratch of the 4. Jamming Eddie leaves us with a field of 7. Number 3 California Tiger adding the blinkers for trainer Hector Palma is the 5-2 morning line favorite. What are your thoughts on race 8, Steve?
His race 2 back is going to win this race. And I think he comes back and runs back to that race. I thought a mile on a good track last time. I think this is a better distance for this horse. Blinkers going on. I think this one runs good. The second horse for me in here is the 7 Left-Hand Man, who I think is going to get a nice tracking trip on the outside. That horse was against a huge speed duel, or a huge speed track last time and didn't break very good. So I think that horse will go forward for none other than Mark Glatt. And I think Kimura does ride this kind of horse well. So those are my 2 in there. Not a race that I love. 3 and 7.
And just focusing on the PPs for Left-Hand Man for a minute, Steve, this is an example of what you were just talking about. Hadn't raced since May of last year as a 3-year-old, then shows up as a newly turned 4-year-old. And look at the improvement, maybe not in the finished position, but certainly in terms of the speed figures that he earned that particular day. He improved, and it's likely he's going to take another step forward today.
I agree with that. And the horse that beat him, Mano Rose, just freaked that day. Ran a very, very big race on the front end. I believe that was Maldonado. And we know how he takes over a race. Look at the fractions, 21-3, 43-4. Probably was Maldonado. But I thought this horse ran a good race in there and could certainly go forward here today. So those are my top 2 in that race.
Race number 9 is the 3rd stakes race on today's card. It's the Grade 3 Monrovia Stakes. Fillies and mares coming down the hillside turf course. And race 9 also begins the 50-cent late pick 4. 1 program scratch of the 2, Ice Dancing, leaves us with a field of 7. AG Bullet, fresh off a victory down the hill for trainer Richie Baltas, is the 9-5 morning line favorite. But I think the contention runs a little bit deeper than that. What say you?
I think it's a 2-horse race in here. But I do want to talk about a horse that I don't like today that really looks good in here to me on the surface, and that is Chismosa. You know, Chismosa's been running against Calbreds, and I really don't like it when people say this horse has been running against Calbreds or running against 3-year-olds. That's old school to me. If you're a Calbred, and look at who she was running against: Stay and Scam, Chancery Way, 3 Witches, Rose Maddox. Those are better horses than these. However, I don't like the fact that if you look at this horse's sheet, or if you look at this horse in the form, you see a lot of races. This horse is coming back in 3 weeks, 5th start of the year. So I'm going to go against Chismosa today, but be aware of that class-wise. Just because a horse runs in a Calbred race certainly doesn't mean that they're not qualified to win the race. I don't see a whole lot of pace in here. I think AG Bullet is going to get a perfect trip again, and I thought there was a lot left in the tank last time. Didn't run a big figure on the sheets. I think this horse actually goes forward from that. I'd like seeing that. I think she's going to be tough, but the horse that can beat her is the rail horse, Graceland Gray, and I think Hernandez sends today. I think that's going to be the key. I don't love being inside down this hillside course. Early in the meet, we saw a lot of horses win from the rail. Very unusual. But I think Graceland Gray sends today. I really think those are the right 2 horses in here. And because of the lack of pace in the race, I think those 2 are going to dominate. Possible single for me here on AG Bullet. If you can go too deep, I would use the Graceland Gray and AG Bullet. 6 and 1 for me in the 9th.
Race number 10 is the feature race on the card. It's the Grade 1 Santa Anita Derby, $750,000 purse for 3-year-olds, going a mile and an eighth on the main track. We've got a field of 8. The morning lane favorite is number 4, the aforementioned Imagination from the Bob Baffert barn, fresh off a victory. A couple of videos to watch before we get your thoughts on the race. First, let's watch the replay for Tapalo, who is the 2-horse in here. He last ran on the synthetic up north in the El Camino Real Derby. He lost to Endlessly, who resides in the Michael McCarthy barn. Endlessly came back to win the Jeff Ruby Stakes at Turfway Park, earning a Beyer speed figure of 91. That validates the 85 Beyer speed figure that Tapalo earned. And as we watch this replay and listen to track announcer Bill Downs describe the action, watch what an early move the jockey Evan Roman does on Tapalo. Very, very early move, and fights hard all the way to the wire, including an impressive gallop out that you'll only get a glimpse of when you watch the replay. But let's all watch the replay of Tapalo performing in the El Camino Real Derby. He's going to break from post position number 7, and as they break from the gate, it's going to be a little difficult to see, but you'll easily be able to pick him up as they enter the clubhouse turn.
Off and running in the El Camino Real Derby. It's Wild Jules who's barreling out for the front end. Tapalo's on the outside. Come Out Fighting's at the fence. Arctic Breeze is in tight quarters, only a half length off the lead. Top 4 within about a length of each other. It's Old Triangle, who is in mid-pack in 5th, and 3 lengths back to Grogu, who's about 2 lengths in front of Endlessly, who's to the outside. A guy named Joe is at the back. As they take on that first turn, Come Out Fighting and Wild Jules, these two spar for the top spot. Tapalo defers in 3rd, and then in 4th, Arctic Breeze. A length and a half to Old Triangles, a length and a half in front of Grogu. Then the favorite Endlessly is in 2nd last and is to the outside of Guy Named Joe. First quarter mile, 23.05. Decent pace on the front end for a mile and an eighth. It's Wild Jules who has a lead with less than 5 furlongs to go by a length. Come Out Fighting is in 2nd. Tapalo is keeping tabs on the top pair in 3rd. Arctic Breeze, Pink Silks in 4th. Old Triangle, Red Colors in 5th. Grogu's towards the inside, 5 lengths off the lead. And then it's Endlessly, who's about a length in front of Guy Named Joe, who trails the field. Tapalo goes from 3rd up into the lead. And Tapalo, with 3 furlongs to go, makes a dash for home. Wild Jules drifting out very wide as it's Old Triangles up into 2nd. Endlessly, the favorite, splitting horses up into 3rd, and only about 2 lengths off the lead. Guy Named Joe is looping up to the outside. Then it's Grogu as they arrive at the top of the stretch, and it's Tapalo, who's homeward bound, has a lead by about 3 lengths. Endlessly, the chalk comes on the outside, and Endlessly has a 16th of a mile to make up 2 lengths. And it's Tapalo with the lead close to home, but it's Endlessly, the favorite, sweeps on by for the win. Tapalo.
Now, as we watch the gallop out, Guy Named Joe seemed to have all the momentum finishing 3rd, but you're going to get a quick glimpse here. Tapalo actually battles back and re-rallies and heads Endlessly. Right there, you can see that was him when the Ronas Racing colors on the inside. He's already off the screen because the gallop out was so strong. There's so many things and so many similarities for the 2 saddler runners. We saw the replay for the saddler runner in race number 5, and it was almost an identical type of replay here for the Santa Anita Derby.
Yeah, I like the replay on this one. I also, what I can add to that, 2 things I'm going to add, Tom. One is that I thought the track that day was outside closers.
At Golden Gate.
At Golden Gate. Now, I keep track of that, and again, I might only get a couple of plays a year, and this is it. But I thought that was not where you wanted to be. You didn't want to be that close to the pace.
He was running against the bias.
He was running against the bias. So that's one key for me. The other thing that I want to point out for this race, go 3 races back and look at the 2-year-old race down at Del Mar, where this horse and Imagination absolutely threw it down. Now, they fell apart coming home. Those were 2-year-olds. And a Mike Smith horse, I believe it was Gary Mandela was a trainer, came and nailed them both at 25-1. But these 2 horses threw down in that race, and they finished right together.
Nothing separated them.
Nothing separated them. I don't see much separating these horses now. And you're going to get 3 times the price, perhaps, on this one to the 9-5, 8-5 favorite. So I really think those are the right 2 in here. Stronghold is a real big question to me. It's real hard for me to get a grip on how good the Sunland race is. You know, I looked at the track. I checked to see if there was any bias. The number's getting really good. I know the connections are good, but this isn't really their thing. I'm going to go with the other 2 and try to beat that one. 2 and 4 for me. in the Santa Anita Derby today.
There are some people who like Stronghold who says, hold my beer, and I'm one of them as well. I believe that Taplow is the run to beat, but I do like Stronghold, and one of the reasons why I like Stronghold, Steve, is this workout we're about to watch, courtesy of our friends at XPTV, back on March 25th. As we're watching the workout, and by the way, that's Stronghold in the back wearing the red cap, so you'll see he picks up his other two workmates as we watch the workout. But this was a bullet drill. There were 64 workouts this particular morning on the main track at Santa Anita at 5 furlongs. Stronghold earned the bullet, and you're going to see the two workmates that he's competing against are graded stakes winners on the turf course. So granted, the main track might not be their preferred surface, but they have a lot of class. Gold Phoenix finished 4th in the Breeders' Cup Turf and came back to run over the weekend on Friday in the American Stakes. And Motorius is a turf sprinter who also has a lot of ability. But take a look at the exercise rider on Stronghold in the back in the red cap here. He's not moving a muscle whatsoever, and he's making up ground, effortlessly on these other two talented runners. And as we continue coming down the lane here, nothing's going to change other than the horse is going to keep improving position. So he's a lightly raced 3-year-old. He's got ability. He's going to get a 1 1/8 today, which might be right in his wheelhouse. And boy, look at this, blown right by two very older, by the way, older talented stakes winners. Stronghold and Taplow, I think, are very, very dangerous competition to the Bob Baffert runners in here. I do think, based off of what we just watched, I think the 3-year-old division in Southern California and on the West Coast might be a little bit deeper than what we're giving them credit for. We're going to find out today around 4:45 p.m. Pacific time whether or not you and I are right. But I think we're about to see two very special animals prove to us how much ability we think they might have.
2 out of 3 of those would be a good thing, right?
For
two
sure.
2 out of 3 running good.
2 out of 3 in bed.
Right. For first Saturday in May, see 2 out of 3 of those fire today. We'll be happy. We want to be represented by Southern California, right? In the big race.
We sure do. Race number 11 begins the $1 Golden Hour Pick 4, linking our last 2 races here with the last 2 races at Golden Gate. And we kick things off going 1 mile on the turf course. Non-winners of 1 other than Scratch the 2 Carry Golden, also the 14 Blue Dog. That means number 13 Fleet Feet on the also eligible list does draw in. Also take note, jockey on number 9 one of these days is Armando Ayuso, the Maury Line favorite. Number 7, Man Among Men from the Richard Mandela Barn, 3-1 on the Maury Line. More competitive races here. Who do you like and why, Steve?
I'm going to beat him today. We're
it.
going to beat him today. All right. So I want to say hi to my friend Bobby Brendler. He's been a little bit sick back in Maryland.
I love Bobby.
He's an old sheep player.
He sure is.
Bobby, you get better, and I love you.
Give him a winner. He'll feel better for sure.
I think he will here. And you know what? Bobby and Kenny, my late friend Kenny Daniels, this is an old thing from those guys. They used to say, this is a shaded horse, Steve. This is a shaded horse. And I say, what the heck is a shaded horse? Was interesting because I never looked at the sheets. Those guys would do the sheet reading and I would do all the other footwork when we worked together. And this is a shaded horse. And what that means is this horse really runs better, and it's Allegato number 8. This horse really runs better at a flat mile. His races at a flat mile are 2 or 3 points better every time he runs it.
Just draw a line through all the other races that are not a mile in distance.
We're running this horse a 1.25 miles, 1.25 miles, and I know he's a 7-year-old, but he's coming off a layoff for Glatt. I like that. Glatt's going great. I think there's a lot of pace in there. And start to look at who this horse has been running against. Kings River Knight is just a ridiculous monster. I think Eastern Ocean at that time was really good. Tio Magico placed in a stake race. So I think this horse is going to really run well today. Sydney Street is the other late threat in here. I like those two. I like Allegato quite a bit in here. The 8 and the 3 would be on my second horse, Sydney Street, for a lot of the same reasons. And Hector Barrios, again, going to ride the rail. Should be running late.
Wrap up a jam-packed 12-race card. In race number 12, offering $5 Golden Hour daily double. It's the Echo Eddie Stakes, 6.5 furlongs on the main track for Cal-bred 3-year-olds. Scratch the 7 and 9, leaves us with a field of 9. Tom Seaver going from turf to dirt as the 5-2 Maury Line favorite. Tight on time. Give us your top 2 picks in the race, Steve.
11 is my top horse, Refocus. I think he's got speed, and you're going to need that in this race. I like Shady Tiger. I like him a little less now because there's less speed in the race, but he'll still be my second horse. But I think the 11 gets a good trip in here, and a horse that's run well. Again, I mentioned this earlier, but a horse that's run well in sprint races as a 2-year-old early in his career on the inside. When horses run well on the inside, I think they're a little better than looks. Now this horse draws outside today. Not a whole lot of speed in here, so I'm going to end the card with Refocus, the 11, Shady Tiger, the 3, will be my second horse in here, 11-3.
Plenty of price potential on today's card. You heard Steve's opinion. The most important opinion is yours. If you got more opinions, make sure you get involved in the Coast to Coast Pick 5, a $1 minimum bet linking races between San Anita and Gulfstream Park. That'll kick off with our third race starting at 1 p.m. Pacific time. Steve, thanks so much for the time and insight. Always a treat listening to your evaluation of the horses. Keep up the great work. You can find your work on a weekend basis, I should say, every Saturday on the Race and Jason radio show. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me. RacingJason.com is where you can get my information. And if any of you want to contact me, turf31@gmail.com. turf31@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. And I do offer some client services if you're interested. turf31@gmail.com.
We loved having you watch the seminar as well. Hope you have a very enjoyable and profitable afternoon. Thanks for watching, everybody, and good luck.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please rise and direct your attention to the flagpole in the infield for our national anthem. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and happy Santa Anita Derby Day. Welcome to Santa Anita Park, the great race place, where the track is fast, the turf course is firm, and the rail on the turf is at 0 feet. Here's a reprise of the scratches and changes. The first race, scratch the also eligibles 13 and 14. We do have a super high 5 carryover from yesterday, $19,404. First race starts the early pick 5. The second begins the early pick 4. Just the one blinker note. In the third, there are no changes. The fourth is the Evening Jewel Stakes presented by the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance. No changes. In race 5, scratch number 8, Runaway Kitten. The sixth is the grade 2 Santa Anita Oaks. It also kicks off the middle pick 4. Middle pick 4 offered today on races 6, 7, 8, and 9. No changes in the Oaks. The seventh race, we start the $1 pick 6. There were no winning tickets yesterday, and therefore $48,181 carried over. Also the start of the All-Turf pick 3. All-Turf pick 3 today on races 7, 9, 11. That's a $3 wager. No changes. Eighth race starts the late pick 5 with a program scratch of 4 Jamming Eddie. The ninth is the grade 3 Monrovia Stakes, program scratch of 2 Ice Dancing. The 10th race, the Grade 1 Santa Anita Derby, with a purse of $750,000 guaranteed. No changes. In the 11th, scratch 2 Carry Gold and 14 Blue Dog. Jockey change for 9 one of these days to Armando Ayuso. The 11th starts the Golden Hour pick 4. The 12th, the Echo Eddie Stakes, kicks off the Golden Hour double. Scratch 7 Lord Prancelot and number 9 Uncle Chili. Field activities in full swing. The Coast to Coast pick 5 will start here at Santa Anita today with race number 3. A low 15% takeout, a $1 minimum wager, and some extraordinary payoffs. The Coast to Coast pick 5, combining races from Santa Anita Park and Gulfstream Park. Tomorrow's Coast to Coast pick 5, as an expression of thanks to those loyal players, will be seeded with $100,000 in the pool before any wagers made. So essentially a free $100,000 put into the pool for those with winning tickets to split up. They'll be at the gate for the first of 12 in 24 minutes at 12 noon. Enjoy your day.